Hey guys, I'm just out here again today at the Star of Hope mine. I just want to give you a bit more of a history and a run through of what's actually in this mine here. So this mine was first actually dug in the 1850s as I guess like more of a narrow sort of tunnel, but the lode was basically 13 feet wide at the start of the mine, so it actually did start quite huge. And then as they got further into the tunnel, the load that they're actually chasing got down to like 2 foot 6 inches. So, it was a very profitable mine. And as we go in, I'll explain a little bit more about what's going on in there. And yeah, let's check it out. So first up, you can actually see from the outside here, the actual seam here that they were chasing. So in the 1850s, Steiglitz was very much an alluvial goldfield, and then as they found these quartz reefs in the rock, then they started to actually mine underground. Mining here was made very difficult due to the amount of small claims that were in the area. So big companies found it very difficult to sort of, get in and do large workings. You can see here the actual seam. The other problem they had in this area was the lack of water to work with, and also the lack of money. So yeah, they did do a very small little drive in through here. So they would have run a rail system through this mine, and being that Sutherlands Creek is actually, basically right outside, I reckon they would have run a pier system across the creek. They actually did mention that this mine would have been a lot bigger had they not had to do so much work on the outside as far as building a road to here, because it's in quite an isolated spot. Also too, with a lot of other earth workings outside. So they sort of say this mine's around about 186 feet long. That's the last measurement I've actually found, and as you can see here, quite a large reef that they were chasing. So they did mention that they couldn't blow the west side of the mine due to it just was so hard. So that's where they've actually worked here on the east side. So this mine was first worked by the Native Youth Company, and they were chasing an A1 lode that was found further north, and they were hoping by actually getting in here, making a winze at the end of the tunnel, that they would be able to pick up on that lode. So I'm just going to watch my footing here. It's a bit slippery, and there's a lot of water sitting here. So when they were actually digging this mine, they actually found quite heavy amounts of blackjack, which is also called carbonaceous. Carbonaceous is basically a heavy clay that's associated with a coal seam. Sorry guys. And also too, they found galena. Now galena is very like the most important ore for lead, and also an important source of silver. So they had that all going on in here as well. The quartz that they were getting out was very, very laminated, and showed quite a fair bit of gold in it as well. So here, as I did show last week, there's actually a tap drill here, hole for blasting. So they put the gunpowder in there and blow it. So from here they basically went forward, hit the face. I think by the sounds of it they knew that it was actually heading downwards. So what they've done, they've come in here and dug a winze. So winze is actually a shaft within an actual mine. And as you can see, it's absolutely incredible. So from all accounts, possibility that this winze is around about 70 feet deep. And here you can actually see the legs, the caps, the lagging. And when you actually see the timber going across here on the sides, that's called cribbing. Dean made me aware of that. You can see quite incredible, the moss that's actually in here. So yeah, with this, this particular shaft, they've dug down 70 feet and then they've followed it north-south. Again, you can sort of see here, the legs are on the ground, on the footwall. And then, as we go forward here, towards the face, comes to an end here. Oh, cool. So you can actually see again where they've drilled in here, 2 holes, and the laminated quartz. So it's quite rusty as well, which shows iron, which again is contributed to gold. And as I mentioned, yeah, the mine was reworked again in the 1890s. Because Steiglitz went through a bunch of booms and busts. And the last one was basically in the late mid-1890s. So there you have it, guys. You want to know a little bit more about this mine, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And you all have a good day. You would look at this and just go, yeah, they've dug into the hillside here just to look for gold. But no, that's not the case. What these actually were, they used to put the quartz into these areas here with a lot of timber underneath and on top of them. And they would actually fire up the quartz to weaken it. So it would take less wear and tear on the actual crushers. So, you know, this was also one of the big reasons why this area was so deforested back in the day. If it wasn't for this, it was for running the boilers, obviously for the mines themselves, for supports, that type of thing, and for building also. So there you go. Something you possibly didn't know. When you're doing the walk through Sutherlands Creek, basically everywhere you look has been completely worked. And what you see in front of you actually used to be part of the town. So this area was completely deforested and was full of houses. And as you can see here, again you have workings. So you never know what you can find out here. if you know where to look. Hey guys, we're just at the base of what once was Barry Street here at Steiglitz. And what I love about this particular place, when I came here many years ago and walked across this, I'm like, what in the heck is going on here? I'm in the middle of the bush and there's this cobblestone ford. It just did make sense. But I guess with the amount of erosion that actually came through this area, it had to be done. It would get washed out probably quite regularly. And here's a street sign here. Barry Street. I think they could have put a Gary Street, don't you reckon? Anyway, I thought this is pretty cool. Thought I'd show you. Ruins of the police station here behind the courthouse. It was built in the 1850s. And James Maxwell Clow was the first ever policeman to work this area. And the station closed in 1906. And here we have a well. So they had stables here, lockups, that type of thing. And as you can see now, only rubble remains. We're just off the back end of the courthouse here at Steiglitz, and you can see this circular piece of earth. And what I suspect this was a an early version of a crusher, where the horses would actually walk around in a circle with a very heavy, concrete wheel, stone wheel, that type of thing, and actually crush the stone. And generally there would be a hole here in the center, but I'm not seeing anything, and I don't think this tree cares about that either.